Hi and welcome back to the shop. This video I'm going to make a sphere. It's a hybrid sphere to Burl and Resin. If you recall, a few weeks ago I made a bowl, a hybrid bowl called the Lady Die, and if you watched that video you saw that I had some resin left over and I cast a small piece of Burl in a container with this resin, and in this video we're going to make a sphere from that. So all that I'm doing right now is I have to make the outside diameter the same as the thickness from top to bottom. So between the two centers, it has to be the same diameter as it is between the two centers. Because the bedways don't go all the way up to the headstock on my lathe, there's a gap. I had to put a piece of wood in between the chuck and the blank so that the sphere jig could sit underneath of the blank on the bedway so like it needs to. So I just attached the blank to the piece of wood with some thick CA glue from Starbond. So I got down to the diameter that I wanted, and I got the sphere jig set up, and I got kind of wrapped up in setting that up and making it work right that I forgot to turn the camera back on. So you haven't missed a ton, just the corners being taken off. I'm just taking my time here, not trying to get a nice clean cut. Again, first time using this, so it doesn't have a negative rate cutter on it, and I want to make sure that I didn't chip out that resin, because if it did chip out, I'd have a lot smaller sphere, and I'm not starting out that big in the first place, so I was very careful here. So you can see here where the sphere jig, the blue sphere jig base mounts to the rails on the lathe bed, and you can see that they stop right there, and that's why I had to put that piece of wood in. It's a little bit better view of it there. So at this point I've done all that I can do with the jig. I'm just going to round up the bottom some with the chisel. You have to make sure doing this that you leave yourself enough wood so that you don't get a flat spot. Now I can take it off the block of wood with the parting tool. So now I have it mounted between two cup centers, and you can see the kind of a ghost image of where that dowel is on going around there. It's very hard to see from the camera. It's hard to see actually live. And all you do is you just cut that very carefully. That ghost image is all that you're cutting, and you take it down to the solid surface of the sphere, and you try not to get into the surface of the sphere. So just going over with the scraper to clean this up a little bit. Once I finish with the scraper, I sand it up. I did that off camera. Sanded and buffed. Once the sphere is finished, I wanted to make a base for it to sit on. So I grabbed another piece of burl, which is the same kind of burl as it was made from. And I just centered the high point of this little burl cap on a sacrificial block and hot milk glued it together. So I'm using a hollowing tool to do this with, just because it has a very sharp carbide cutter on it, a regular carbide cutter, not a negative rate, which is on my straight one. I wanted to get a real good clean cut on those points and not have any of them chip off on me. And I have very little amount to turn off, so it really didn't matter what chisel that I used as long as it was sharp. Just a little test fit to see how the sphere is sitting on the base. Had to change the shape of that concave part just a little bit so that it would sit down a little flatter without any gaps. And now the fit's good, so I can just sand that small space off a little bit. Be careful not to get my fingers caught in those little spikes. So I finished the base with this very thin clear glass, a couple coats. So thanks for sticking around. I appreciate you watching. Thanks to everyone who subscribed. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing if you haven't, and give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And we'll put some stills at the end, and we'll see you next time.